Anyway, I'm planning to burn this one. The notebook, I mean. Well, sorry. If you're just joining us, as always, I am nothing if not obsessive about the nature of performance, of art as come on, look. It's so funny that you thought about reading this intro to people and trying to make it good and ask questions about whether or not it's a performance to burn the book. Like, obviously it's a performance because you've thought about reading from it at open mic, and hey, maybe I'm reading this out loud right now. Wow, hello, audience. Are you impressed by my strange and tortured relationship with my own poetry? Please tell me if you think it's compelling that I said I was going to burn this notebook when I'm finished with it. And hey, do you think she's really going to burn that notebook, or do you think that was just a metaphor? Anyway, so I'm going to burn it. I should mention, I guess, that I did find this composition book on the concrete by the creek. And no, that did happen. I promise that I didn't just put a bunch of my cliches next to each other like usual. Ooh, there was concrete. Ooh, there was a creek. Ooh. They start with the same letter and have a noticeable contrast in tone. Yeah, give it a rest, Mary Oliver. Haha, no, but seriously, folks. I found this notebook on the bike ramp by Cherry Creek on my longboard, and you can choose to believe that or not. And I'll be honest, I promise. I had been considering buying a nice moleskin and burning it, but then I finished up the kitty journal, parentheses, journal with a kitties on it, parentheses, Maddie gave it to me, and Maddie wants to go with me to the Tattered Cover tomorrow, so I'm waiting a whole day without a journal to write in. And who could fucking stand it, right? So then I found this one on the ground, and oh my god, do you think she's really gonna burn it? I think it's a gimmick. I think it was just kind of a weird poem. Did you like it? Deep suburbs. Yeah, we ventured over the edge of the interstate, plunged past McMansion-lined perimeter, pushed into cul-de-sac centers. Out here, the sky is spotless black at night. Out here, you can start down sewer drains and keep walking deeper and keep stumbling deeper. Every 200 feet, poke your head from manhole covers. Another street, another 20 clones of houses, clones of families, dads that drive the same SUV to different offices, daughters prescribed the same drugs. You can wander the blocks forever, always finding identical answers to every question. Later that evening, you split yourself into separate boxes. Sticky sweetness to the left, cold, unmoving cruelty to the right, blood-pumping speakers screaming somewhere in the center. In the morning, you'll re-amalgamate, stick crooked parts in scraped, worn sockets, and put together a certain sort of real person, cobble up a personality of disparate selves. So it goes. I suppose I'll be handing out flyers by the highway announcing my own death-defying stunts. Yeah, this week I'm gonna be wrapping myself in bubble wrap and getting tossed from the top of the petroleum building, trying to get a clean bounce off the concrete and spring my way right back up to the roof. And yeah, I've got doubters, haters you might call them if you're so inclined, folks who think I'm gonna splatter all over 16th Street and ruin the mall for every tourist all summer. But they said the same thing when I rolled off the bridge into the Platte in a hamster ball, and I only broke 2 ribs that day. They don't know what I'm made of. Tried to give myself a taste of travesties, that's a tough one. Tried to give myself a taste of travesties, battery-powered traipsing outside my honesty. Sorry, it's rarely apparent how unfair it is. I'm barely alive. I can't stand it. Bandits have burgled me earnestly. Bent out of shape or beat to shit, as it were. I certainly wouldn't be short with you purposefully. But I shot myself in the foot on Friday. It's a bit too bleak to explain. It's a blunt story of sordid proportions. I blew up my back trying to build a shorter version, but it's been too much shored me up and burnt me into surely being broken. Ha 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 ha. Jesus Christ, all right. Once again, we return to wandering. Let's consider the hedge maze. You could spend decades shaping leaves and branches with wires and twine, bushes growing into mutilated forms of your own free will in the garden, years and years of hard work, and in the end, when the maze has finally grown from seed to towering walls, you know every twist, turn, and dead end. You know every corner of the labyrinth. You can't even get lost in it. You already have all the answers. Can't ever square it anyway. You started getting bills in the mail from every corner of the country. Phone bill from New Brunswick, claims of unpaid meals in Miami, and you tossed them in the trash, of course. I mean, you know a fraudulent letter when you see one, but shoot, they just kept coming through the mail slot. Every week another plumber in Montana asking for a handout, another electric bill in the triple digits piling behind your welcome mat. You grew too lazy, too tired to keep up with the deluge. Hundreds of envelopes crowding the floor of the foyer. Mailman hauling wheelbarrows of bags of bills and bills and bills and bills, causing a ruckus, scaring the hell out of the poodle, popping open the metal flap, dumping pounds of paper through the door every damn day. So finally you got sick of it, of course, gathered armfuls of the stuff and sorted it into piles on the living room table, by name, by address, address, by state, by country. Every single one addressed it to you by name. And for days you gave them all the same courtesy, handwritten missives demanding an answer, demanding evidence of your patronage. And it started with simple receipts, proof of credit card purchases, a butcher in Calgary with a scanned list of pork, beef, chicken servings, all in your own pen, and with more and more weeks of your own denial in response, you received the real stuff. A Polaroid of yourself in Paris, a YouTube link unlisted security cam footage of your body walking through an auto shop you knew for certain you'd never seen. And well, what's a girl to do? You picked an easy one to start, drove a few hours out to a bagel deli in Santa Fe that sent you a pissy little claim of a dine and dash you never committed back in February, showed up after the lunch rush and demanded to see the manager, and you gave her an earful, a good 10-minute unplanned sleepless ramble about how you'd never seen her before and she wasn't getting a cent of your damn money, and after emptying your lungs to her blank-faced stare, she finally gave her useless reply, "Ma'am, I've never seen you either." Beat to beat to beat to beat to beat. It's always that 4 on the floor with you, a sort of straight dance pop feel. No swung rhythms, no odd time signatures, no extra bars or grand pauses. And while I came in playing in 5/8, cramming 30-second notes where they didn't belong, being a bit of a show-off. And I expected you to be impressed, I guess. Thought you'd stop everything to worship at the feet of math rock, lick polyrhythms like lollipops and hop on the keys again, go sweep for sweep with me. But you just kept on playing the hits. You loved the crowd more than me. 1. Check the tapes, I think you'll find I did no such thing. Well, let's make a distinction between theft and borrowing. Yes, I entered your convenience store at 10:58 p.m. last Friday, and yes, I did grab 7 Reese's Big Cups off the rack without paying for them. But I believe you'll find that at 8:45 a.m. on Monday morning, I not only returned 7 Reese's Big Cups to the shelves of your establishment, but I even restocked the Kinder Eggs free of charge. Now, whether or not they are the same Reese's Big Cups is immaterial as far as I'm concerned. You got your damn Big Cups, and a fucking tip for good measure. So let's drop the tough guy act, all right? I've never stolen a damn thing in my life. Okay? Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I love you too. 2. Anyway, you burned locks to lose keys to hurt sunlight, or however the saying goes. I was out in the parking lot at the Target in Cherry Creek last week, doing donuts around the big red Target balls out front. And let me tell you, that's a complicated maneuver if I've ever seen one. I mean, dropping and hopping the curb every loop and shit. It's a narrow window, ain't it? Not much space between the damn things. And it's 2 a.m. I'm in the zone, That's my fucking Target parking lot time. Ain't nobody that should be bothering me while I'm in glorious orbit around crimson concrete. But of course, that night, some fucking jabroni security guard, you know the type, these pasty rent-a-cop motherfuckers who jerk off to catching single moms shoplifting baby formula every night. Yeah, apparently they hired one of these jackasses to hang outside the building and try to catch people like me, just a poor girl trying to relax a little on the weekend in a third place, just a single lesbian taking on the world, a goddamn strong independent woman, as it were. They want to catch me in the act. Flinging myself spectacular centripetal force around the Target testicles. So no, I'm not going to be at the baby shower this weekend. The baby isn't even going to remember it anyway. Christ. Always tired. I tried to take my time tamping down terror and treating myself kindly, but I can't take the timidness. I can't take the tender tendons. Traipsing, gallivanting about the back burner. I built my body back from bricks and beat it into shape with ball peens. Trapped in tight corners, I tie tighter knots and try to type up talk of taking the town back, telling myself I'm twisted and perfect, ticks on the surface, tattered and worthless. Drew blood last week, pricked to the forearm under the highway, chip bags in river water, walls tagged and painted over. I prayed and forget who to pray to, I prayed and forgot who to pray to, slowed my breathing, missed a vein, missed the way we used to shoot together, heroin, estrogen, what have you, squirreled away stashes on opposite sides of the bridge now, lips chapped and sucking our teeth back. Well, you tacked on more than I could chew at the end there, twisting your lips into sideways squares and tattered triangles. You tapped 2-pronged tongue to mouth roof, mouth roof, that's awesome. You tapped 2-pronged tongue to mouth roof, swat away flies with a flick of your eyes, teeth to chattering teeth I play the umpire, call balls and strikes and you of course the pitcher trying to win my favor, spinning webs of tempting nonsense, pressed to defy my own breath. After images or maybe ley lines, I strayed from the usual boots, socks, black to the kneecap, flannel hung loose around tightening shoulders. Friday afternoon, I play the practiced winks and red lips, blouse with an open back, hair that's not mine but mine and laying loose around my neck, stroked for comfort. I am a portrait of someone else's mother. I am brass fingertips. Just a few more weeks of wretched worship at the feet of tension. I'm pink twisted body, not quite beloved, not quite tossed to the dumpster. You're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of yourself. You're losing the energy to read back, review, and reconstruct meaning from scratch. It's too bad you took too long to swing your weak little fists into that gaping mouth full of perfect straight teeth. A stiff breeze could blow you over. A week in the water would kill you. Chipped teeth to concrete, I was dragged by the hair to the edge of the creek, made to take deep sips of dirty water, swallow the sand crabs, reeds, weeds, and traces of sulfur, sick to my stomach for weeks. And better than that, it's stupid to say so, and better than that, it's painful to list every reason out. What? Okay, sure. And better than that, it's stupid to say so. And better than that, it's painful to list every reason out, all right? Listen, I got scared of the dog I saw reflected in the water. I was hack coughing up nose full of river, lake, whatever. Balled up, snotty, and grated down to nothing. And on about chapped lips. It's not enough to eat yourself alive. It's not enough to dance perfect tip of the toe to the right angles and correct ones. I slid right through the sound and hollowed... I slid right through the sound and hollowed myself out of the... I got it. I slid right through the sound and hollowed myself out at the discotheque, and oh, the body merges with music, and oh, the crowd screams for a cripple. You gotta write tongue twisters for yourself sometimes. Delicate anger and mothballs, they couldn't quite put the house back together after one too many grease fires curled up in air vents and hid their breathing bodies from the neighbors. Wish I could say they tried their best, banded together, brought lit candles to flooded basements, and pushed further into the dark. But there was no grand movement, no community fundraisers, no chipping in from open hearts. The house burned down and they burned themselves with it. No, it's actually, the house burned down and they buried themselves with it. But I kind of like what I said, too. That kind of works, too. Never got used to adjusting my eyes in the dark. I mean, going pupils wide, letting more light hiding behind the desk, the blanket chest, the shuttered window, pour in through black specks and brown pools. It's all still dancing shadows, mind imagining playing cards, turn signals, and bats splayed across the walls. Close your eyes, see the same surfaces. Open your mouth, fail to scream. Iron lung alleyways, they want a girl with This one's tough. I'm gonna go for it. Iron lung alleyways. They want a girl with steel tongue, zero hang-ups. Never been touched up sideways. Never been treated too sweet. Bereavement. And believe me, I take the longest trips in the business. Second time circled around the sun. Severed ties, burnt it for fun. And I know I've got lungs to keep breathing. And I know it's been twisted to hundreds of shutters and shutter the business on Main Street. Hate to be patient. I hate to be patient. I'd trade saying grace for anything. Bone tools for silverware. Can't understand a vacation, ain't it? Well, great. It's not right to say I'm slavish, devoted to greatness. Or hey kid, why not slip into something outrageous and pay us in cash tips? I'm not asking. Terrified of missing a beat, I swing for the fences, slugger, take a shot at blowing the brains out the audience. I mean, of course, you've got tongue twisters written on the inside of your dust jacket. Slip to the center and see if you can keep up with me. I'm spinning sick in the spotlight, hitting dinger after dinger after dinger. And I've got the taste of cider in my mouth today with everything to prove. Well, we were gutted stupid that night, you with your mouth agape, trying to scrape dead bugs splattered off your chest, me with arms wide open, welcoming knives to my throat, lungs chopped and screwed. It's a symphony of self-destruction. We're all hacksaws and handbags beat to bleary heads. We're all fingering whistles in shallow pockets. I cut the rope spectacular. I walk the plank quite literally. Ooh, it's like a cute drawing here. I kind of like that one. I like these as well. I think these came out really good. I like this little octopus lady. This one is also pretty cute. Well, I feel like the drawings got a lot better when I started putting like piercings and stuff on them and clear coating them. God, I'm far too childish. I pick at scabs in the sandbox, find myself infected, never quite healing from asphalt wounds, playing soccer with the big kids, rubber red ball to my head every weekday, bandaged up back on my way. Played a symphony with seagulls. They took the squawking and I took the rhythm for 'em. Traded bar for bar, songs of salt water and ruffled feathers, songs of sundown and rippling shallows. I followed up clinks of glass with ice chest pounding thump to the bass line, played my part imperfect but perpetual. Sea shanties chasing the dusk down. I almost forget I'm a guest here. I almost forget I can't fly. And so on and so on and so on and so on. I was just playing the part for the cameras, you know. Pretty little shadows beneath my eyes, crooked fingers bent precisely for the big screen. And I was a scream queen, bleeding out beautiful back-of-throat melodies. And I clutch gilded trophies, leave bloodstains on the plaque, and ooh, I'm a fantastic actress. And ooh, folks at home don't know the scars are makeup. Meanwhile, you meant every word. When you spoke blood, vomit, spit, and beatings, it was all memories and dead body reruns. It was all found footage and snuff films. And I'm the one with the star on the sidewalk. I'm the one making millions. Guess I thought it would all be worth a little more. Spent my teen years sticking forks in wall sockets, trying to conduct sharper currents through pulsating nerve endings. It's clearly not fair to call myself traumatized. I mean, they left the sockets unattended, but it was me initiating the poke and prod. It was me designing dangerous experiments on human skin, on my skin, on arms, legs, neck, head, shoulders, heart, and so on and so on. Well, now I'm a little more now I'm a little more clean in the spotlight, cleaned up static remnants. Moo. Okay, I got it. Well, now I'm a little more clear in the spotlight, cleaned up static remnants, cinch myself back together somehow, and still I feel a bit strangled. Still I can't find time to straighten my hair, clear up pins and needles, nurse numb forearms, and walk strut saunter on stage like the rest of them. I am not lungs for the taking. I am not sacred or brave. I don't know why I had so much trouble with that one. It's not even that hard. Sometimes the ones where they're like sideways on the page like this. Sorry, I'm going back to show you. Sometimes when they're sideways on the page like this, it's kind of a pain in the ass to read them, I won't lie. Or when they're upside down. A little bit too quiet for comfort. I forget my marching forward orders. I forget my spit pink in the bathroom sink. I plod along endlessly, sawing teeth to gums and blood vessels. And oh, it's essential to squirrel away savings. And oh, it's not good enough to make it through the day and sleep in the weekends. You're 30 and you're broke. You're 40 and you're broke. You're 50 and you're broke. Your sister bought a house in New Hampshire. Your big brother hanged himself for making money in Texas. Retirement fund mined near the oil refinery. Gilded hands and eyebrows under fluorescent light, drowning in what you were. And so on and so forth. And who's to say if the money changed you? There's caverns between investment companies and tech startups where you can find folks huddled together, wrapped in rancid blankets, filling up their dab rigs with blue Slurpee slush. And don't get me started on dumpster diving. Well, you can play ball with the big kids, try to learn the rich boy ropes, try to settle the score with God, and cheat death an extra year or two. But we both know we belong in the alley. We never had a shot at the stock market. We never should have gone for the gold. Anyway, spend too long with your eyes covered, hands in your pockets, lick your fists and back of wrists clean, lose track of where your hands are supposed to go, lose sight of eyesight. I mean, you've got cigarette burnt holes in your head, you've got taste of cough syrup on your tongue. It's not enough to direct arms and legs with arms and legs. It's not enough that you go wet, wrinkled, nasty, covered in bug bites and still play the hits. You'd trade every stroke of genius for a truce in your ankles. You'd trade love for soft shoulders. Sadly, I couldn't see past the edge of the swimming pool. I was gasping nasty broken breaths through chlorine surface. I was stuck in loops of thrashing through sunlight reflections, cracking the dancing shimmer on the ceiling, deep end turning chemical clean water in circles, coughing up cries for help. Shifting signals between my sandals, I sink beneath sand again, annually. It's a bit of a waste of paper propelling my weight up. It's a sign of the passage of time now. Couldn't quite answer the call of the cast. I'll cancel my wages and crash through the waves. Not right to say so. I've got bent fingers in the corners of my mouth, prying at teeth, spit, and bloody lip. I tap at the bedspread, lose myself in taste of cold sweat and sips of whispers. And I'm not the one directing the action. I'm not the one speaking in full sentences. Muffled yelp to palm, I swallow my sentimental bleed, pure white and blue. Wow, that one is horny. Good Lord. Up, down, sideways, whatever. Always another excuse to speak out a new corner, a new tongue tip placed proper between teeth. Not enough grease in my balled up shoulders, not enough twine holding elbows together. I'm sick of questions about what I'd do if I could. Quizzitive glance at an upright body against all odds. I swallow every second against all odds. I stand right back up. Wish that I could say I was innocent, but I've been collecting bees in mason jars for weeks, trying to catch a glimpse of beaten wings, a flash of faster metabolism, churning self-body to honey. But they sink to glass bottom, lose all sense of speed, shatter in my line of sight. That's sad. That's sad what happens to the bees in that poem. I'm sick. I'm over the edge of my seat playing little games of nice to meet you and how's the weekend and here's my number. It's a certain kind of backed into the corner, feet on the table, no exposed bruises or sores type of posture. And I play the role perfectly. I'm keeping the girls on their toes, on their best behavior, straightening hair and picking at zits in the mirror. And it's a backwards way of looking at it. I've got acne scars all the same. I've got stretch marks on my hips and so on. Overpaid and underqualified, as it were. Someday I'll be caught in the act selling thornless roses. And I must admit, I have been filling these pages in out of order. I mean, skipping ahead arbitrarily, writing wherever in the book I feel like at any given moment, and sometimes skipping ahead only to go back and fill in the gaps. So if you were hoping to follow a linear narrative, sad to say that dream was doomed from the start. Well, you might have also noticed that I haven't been dating entries, and it's been like that since the beginning. And well, honestly, I don't love it. Well, part of experimenting, which is this book's ultimate purpose after all, is finding the reasons why you kept all your little routines in the first place. And turns out, yeah, I like having a linear archive of a month's worth or what have of a month's work or what have you. I like being able to see repeated themes stack on top of each other. I like seeing the spots where I got stuck in a rut and then turned out something spectacular after 5 pages of garbage, or when you can feel the frustration building and releasing, or you can see me really hit a stride and knock dinger after dinger after dinger for like 4 pages in a row. The only real advantage of writing out of order is that I can't keep track of how many pages I filled out that day, which means I can't measure my self-worth with the quantity of my writing, which is great because what is a page anyway? They're different sizes in different books, and sometimes I write huge letters splayed across the page, and that's not quite the same as filling in every last line, which is not quite the same as writing sideways like this. I mean, it's not like I'm counting words, so I don't know why I feel the need to count pages. So it's nice not being able to tell. So it's nice not being able to. Couldn't tell you how much I've written today. Yesterday bleeds into the day before. Keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Thought I was too much of a liability. I mean, you had me strapped right to your back, house key and steel water bottle dangling from my carabiner, a loose approximation of an adult woman, a burden upon you and still moving. And I can play the bard, sing stories and poems of all your great deeds. I can pretend it adds up to engine diagnosis and socket wrenches. I follow you in straight lines unwilling. Stuck in a loop between straight lines and who's to say so. I bleat tongue to mouth root. Find a ringing tone that shakes the ceiling. Find a sense of forward momentum. Ignore the swollen shoulders. Ignore the bleary eyes in the morning. I'm a symptom of my own self-reflection. I'm a worn body moving perpetual. Your knees are badly damaged. Take shelter. That's a hard one to read. So it goes. I used to be some sort of semblance of a living vessel, I guess. I mean, I was boots to pavement daily and all that. No dread for walks to work in the morning. I wasn't spending time on nursing my own body. I wasn't spending time on, ooh, that's stiff, and now there's awareness. Now there's thoughts burning through upper arm nerve glide to all my fault, all my fault. Quads lifted, you'll never walk upright again. Visions of canes, walkers, wheelchairs, what have you. But not quite certain paths, not quite close the book clean and simple. And on about bleeding the beat body, and on about eyes twisted to opposite floodplains. I am too sick for work this week and don't look it. I am tied together barbed wire and dirty dishwater in my mouth. I bite the hand that beats me. No good poems on this page, but look at that guy. It's fun to look at that guy. And this, I guess. That's kind of fun to look at. I'm going to be so embarrassed if I find out that you guys can't see any of these when I go to edit this. That's gonna be tough. All along you saunter onward, feeling a sort of fondness for honesty. You sing songs of fostering chronic sweetness, and even if it's fake, even if it's hard-pressed to break through the mainstream, I'd hate to take great pains not to say so. Hurry up, swallow the key, though it's hurtful to stand on your knees for too long. It's over the tree line conceding the con job, stuttering helplessly forward. Oh, these are the ones that I did with acrylic markers, and I really like how bold the colors are. I'm probably going to get some acrylic markers. I got these from my friend Ava when I was over at their place. Pretty much perfectly planned the party, but I passed out early and felt way too placated. It's possible I was impolite and out of practice. It's imperative to please every person with pleasantries. Pipe down, pick up the pieces. What else is there to say? The other day I found an extra shower rock unexpectedly. Well, yeah, usually I keep a quartz in the corner to keep me company, and well, on Friday somehow there were 2, and not added by me, I might add. And I kept to my routine, rinse, lather, repeat, or something like that, and tried to blot out the sight of the second rock, disrupting my sense of space. But I couldn't quite ignore the pulse of pink silica in the corner of my eyes, as it were. And well, I chucked the damn thing out the window, and the next day I swear it was gone. Jesus Christ, I'm so blue all the time, and everywhere I keep turning, I keep finding more sticks in the sand, keep finding cigarette butts, I mean. And good God, get a grip, grab a shovel, and grind it to pieces, plucking ground from ground for ages, and hey man, why not shove your fingers down my throat and pull me around like a puppet? And I water myself daily with asphalt, and I scrape my knees on purpose, and I'm not supposed to ride bikes with the big kids anymore, and I was born with a couple wooden teeth in the back, and I was built to wear matching shirts and eventually drown my brother, and it's always another trip back up deja vu, and I mean the roller coaster. The last time I went to Six Flags, I took a dab at the dispensary first and puked on the second ride. Anyway. Back in the day, we waited on each other's shoulders to eyebrows, tacked on pithy little greetings to each moment, shot ourselves straight through the foot. Well, listen, I'm like a coal mine canary, you know? You catch me spluttering sick and stupid, and that means it's time to get the hell out of whatever hole we've found ourselves in. And so on and so on and so on. Look, sometimes you have to come at the whole things backwards. You can't just say, we were in love, because you can't know for certain that you were. Wow. Put together a new technique this week while you swallow burning hot coffee mug single gulp and sickly, and you power forward, pull through, drag your body behind you. Beneath your skin, muscles, whatever, you shriveled up to nothing inside. You've gone gray rubber in there, and yet you've still got eyes scanning for mice scampering through sweet grass, and you've still got a neck head that rotates all the way backward, and so on. And so when the first light of morning crests the hillside and leaks in through your windows, you see and feel rotten corpse, and yet the body drags itself upright and prepares for the hunt. But wait, there's more. You used to love the mind electric, a way to cast brain to circuit board and tinker away with solder and pliers, reconstruct forgotten memory, but I hear it was sort of a broken metaphor. I mean, you can overlay thought to search engine to file system and say none of it's fuzzy, it's all exact keywords and correct tone of voice, but a computer ain't never made a noise like that. I like this guy. It's a fun guy to look at. Not so sure that I'm anything I ever said I was. I mean, fuck, man. Every morning I check my reflection, contort my eyes screwed around to opposite angles, and I see matted hair nasty and grease between my teeth. I see skin calloused and dusted to chapped lips and acne, and inspect every corner for further blemishes. Find rashes rubbed raw red, find sharp-edged, paper-cut, sliced tongue. And I was hesitant to jump in the deep end for fear of chlorine bleach dye in my hair. And I never eat enough, and you can guess the specifics. And still I'm held, cradled hand in hand, and perfectly flawless and on my scars. And Jesus Christ, I used to be paralyzed with fear over taking the Lord's name in vain. I was, oh my gosh, and geez and all that. And while you imagine this celestial puppet master, you imagine the whole world spinning spectacular in his hands, the way he could crush you to paste and not even notice. And you think this guy, this thing, this great and terrible beast is paying strict attention to phonemes, feeling around for incorrect curve of the lip and punishing blasphemous expletives, tracking the movement of fleas in the carpet. So it goes or whatever. Well, every day you try to sculpt clay to pleasing arrangements. This one's a plate, this one's a bowl, this one's an ashtray. And you're not proud to say so, but you've been trying the same with your abdomen, kneading at soft tissue, trying to collapse self to sink water. Washed, glazed, fired in the kiln, and shaped to something more acceptable. Saturday night you sing with the statues, ever more perfect than flesh. Evening cyclobenzaprine. We all kept stainless steel water bottles with plastic thick stickers made overseas detailing our favorite characters and what we knew to believe about the world. I had purple-green teenage TV shows dotted along the rim, leaking adhesive into liquid, and drink up, repeat, and I hadn't washed the damn thing since April, and I hadn't meant to cause a scene when you had the incorrect flags glued to your canteen, and we were all Tonka trucks rusting too late in the sandbox, and we were all saltwater rushed to the nose, choke, vomit, seaweed, and I'll mark the next one with Sharpie. I'll swallow rubber for sure. Kind of like a little sketchy drawing there that I kind of like. I like how horrifying this one is. Whenever I draw something and I'm like, that's really bad to look at, I'm like, awesome, good job, I did great. God, just try to come up with a few certain flicks of the tongue in right way circles that gets you to finally be put to proper fingertips. You want the open mouth caress at the bottom of your feet. You want the bare body blankets and spit. You want the bare body blankets and spit, and you can't rearrange yelps to I told you so's, and you can't remember what your upper body, chest, and stomach looked like in 2018. There is a half-circle scar by your nipple now. There are fewer stretch marks to hide. Scar tissue buildup along softening skin, needle to week to year. Taken for some kind of fool this morning. They thought I'd be stringing together slick sentences, dancing circles around myself, find an empty bottle of coffee creamer, and well, I guess I said empty, so there's not much you can do with that. I mean, if it's empty, it's not really a bottle of coffee creamer, is it? It's actually a bottle of oxygen or nothing at all, with a treacherous label. And you believe everything you read, and you'll have yourself thinking, that there's coffee creamer where there's nothing but air. You can try to hide the signs of life lived, eyes crinkled, mouth remembering your favorite jokes long after you've forgotten them, skeptic eyebrow raised to forehead canyons, hair dyed, gray and blonde lost in each other's arms, no sense of she stops here and she stops there, and next year it's more than creams, and next year it's more than plastic in your face, skin shot through with needles. They're planning to replace you altogether, a 20-year-old woman asleep in your bed. You can handle it, right? Wrong. I wrote out a range for ruminating on retirement and fancy restaurants, and I was too ragged, too ruined, too ravenous to play by the rules, and right now I rue being rugged and wring out the rest of the rainwater. I ramble on roasted and reckless and run myself into a rut. Well, the thing is, I'd really prefer not to burn the notebook at all, but I'll be honest, I promise. I had been planning, or at least thinking about not taking any pictures or recordings of this book before it's gone, so that when it's gone, it's gone. But I already broke that, and now I've been thinking about recording a poetry read from it and then burning it on camera, and having that be a sort of record of the project. On the one hand, perhaps this would violate the purpose of the project, but also, like, the point of the project is actually to do fun, weird stuff with art, and making a video could be fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. But anyway, of course, I'm now attached to this shitty composition book now that it has some good poems and drawings in it, and it's fun to flip through. So I'd rather not burn it, which means I have to, because that's the point, I think. Hey, why am I even doing this, really? I kind of think mostly because it sounds cool and dramatic to talk about. I don't know. I guess I expected it to kind of make me more emotional than it has. Maybe that'll change once I actually do it, because right now it's like, well, that's not real, because I could just choose not to do it. But maybe when it's really going up in flames, it'll hit me harder, I don't know. I guess I haven't done anything special in here. I could crank out another one of these next week. Beat to hell and back. Well, let me tell you, it's been 6 weeks since the last time I held that glass between my teeth, sucking back shine white reflections to rainbow dazzle opposite wall. And I could do that dance diagonal, balance wine glass to wine glass to wine glass, stacked precarious between lips, mouth, tongue, tasting twists of the tango, dangling dangerous death from the ceiling, inevitable shatter and shame. There's another guy you can look at. I like to look at this guy. Well, what's funny is if I do record a video, that will be more documentation than any of my other notebooks will ever have. So much for letting go, I suppose. Have I mentioned I'm only reading the stuff that I've highlighted? You could tell because I've been showing you the book. Sure, fine. Well, I always wanted to be a silhouette in your doorway, you know, positively radiating potential and possibly radioactive. But you always like to keep the Geiger counter on your hip, and you always like to lick lips with a little firepower. And by the way, I never asked about your history with nicotine, and I'm always sad to see a deadbeat, so let's try kicking at shins again. And it's always a funny bit of she said I'm certain, and we trade yes ma'am for absolutely, and did you know, they sold whipped cream vodka at the Walgreens on State College, and we used it to polish our eyes and ears, and I painted red in the sink that night, and I never asked for forgiveness. A plate of traitorous makings. I settled the score with my own taste in fashion, my own taste for sour candy on my tongue. It's nothing but dry spells since last April. It's nothing but nonsense propelling body forward motion. I'm not afraid to say so. I've got empty bottles in the back seat. I've got cider sloshing around an otherwise empty belly. I'm not too patient. Gray sky, front windshield, cracked to splayed kaleidoscope light. Painted you a nicer picture this week. Well, last time it was on and on about bloody knives and bullets, and on about scarred wrists and open wounds. And frankly, I got sick of this stuff after a while, and wanted to paint golden landscapes and apple orchards, wanted to conjure sweet smells of honey oranges and fruit flies, and its tiny little lies somewhere between the two. Well, I'm not the anguish choking or rotten meat, and I'm not the citrus squeezed to perfect glass. On some days I break my legs on purpose. On some days I walk in the sun. Wasting away in the winter, wordless wants of wish fulfillment, weathered the waterways, welcomed more weariness. Blown away by the beat of the bass drum, I blast past beauty, belying my own debasement, brought to beltways and bribed for bodies. Great job, let's grab Jesus by the jugular and jangle the guy back and forth, get the money from his jeans. Don't go gentle on him. Last week stuck, and I mean stuck in our respective corners. I'm always on and on about the parts I play, roles slipped into like ill-fitting sweaters, but you always had the skin of your own body. You can prick your finger, draw blood, lick it clean, and that's your own salty taste in your own salty mouth. No script, no bright lights, and certainly no metaphors. You would cry at your courthouse wedding. You would recognize the people at your funeral. Sorry. Well, sometimes I try to come at getting myself a bit sideways. And I lose track of straightforward. I'm losing track of straightforward. And I lose track of straightforward. I lose sight of how to say it all out loud, coherent, and beautiful. Well, I'm at war with didactic, I'm afraid. I can't stand to be told how to feel. I can't stand when the answers are laid out in neat little rows. Well, it means more to me to get underneath it. Find the beating heart, breathing lungs, whatever, at the center of a feeling, at the center of lived experience. And so it's not enough most of the time to say, here's what happened and here's how it made me feel. It's too easy, it's too clean. happen. You need to say, here's something that didn't happen and couldn't happen that is nonetheless as true as can be. 1. Directionless self-evidently. I fell to rancid well water, tried to tell a story of going over the edge on purpose, but I seldom sell the truth these days. I paid for all the hell I put you through, speaking deep denial through my teeth, and even though it's worthless, wet sweltering down here, I fear you'd never try to find me hiding in this hole. 2. Sent south to purpler pastures. I meant to say I'm hurt more than last year, but clearly I'm dealing from my sleeves lately. I nearly ate shit Tuesday on my way up the hill, and I will be seeing the end of it sometime. I find myself lost on worthless causes, caught up in all the drama and traumatic injuries. So film for me, record the origins of all my misery, and forget the subscription fees. Forge a new path through the ash trees, and please, 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 see me for sins I've committed most recently. That poem's like okay, but it ends with "see me for sins I've committed most recently," which is a banger line, so you highlight it. Well, anyway, it's better to say I was taken by the daylight, split to separate spots on the carpet. It's not enough to tell myself I'm cute, sweet, live, delicate. It's not enough to say I've got pocket knives for fingers, I've got spider bites, and I don't mean piercings. I am a blaring tornado siren, ignored through fatigue, echoing through the fog. I am a list of dead poets sitting on the windowsill, drowning encrusted under melted candle wax. I am a pair of lungs pulling in air or trying to, and finding stinging liquid, finding black bile going south inside the gullet, purple light leaking beneath the door. Weird and weary, I wanted a way to wash away my wisdom and weep, weep, weep for the loss of my wanderings, weep for the waste of my time, energy, alertness, wallow in my worthlessness. Grabbed by the gullet and shaken down for shanties, I surely guessed incorrect on the government tests and got myself garbage grades for shifting standards. Frayed edges of blank pages between hard cardboard covers, taunting you with cradled knowledge pasted in dust jackets, top-of-the-shelf stuff, and you can't piece together chapters from epilogues, lazy lolling out the corners of the tome. Eggs cracked to perfect drip-drop angles, yolk and white coalescing sizzle on the stovetop, corralled around bacon and capers, plated with basil and pepper cracked to pleasant sprinkle, breakfast by way of art-making, body propelled through the day. I read that to Maddie, and she was like, it's because they have protein. Sweet and singing sweeter, I seldom see the stains on slip-ups, always stop to soak in serenades and sling the soprano notes over my shoulders. 1. Sour soap bubbles mixed with hand sanitizer, and I can't breathe for the weekend, and I can't seem to find the source of the stiffness. It's been 3 years since I felt like myself, or maybe more or less than that, and I don't take kindly to fingers jabbed at my stomach, and I prefer the needles. And this week, I've had 1 good day to 4 bad ones, and they want to call it normal, healthy walking upright, and they told me there's no tumors in there, and where else is there to check, and they stuck a finer point above where my umbilical cord used to go, planted some sage or rosemary or something on the pinhead, and let it burn quiet atop my body. And I was hoping for a clean answer to every stupid question, and I always come up hands full of fucking sawdust, knees weak in line at the grocery store. 2. And while there's nothing else to do, I've tried the whole grab 'em by the lapels, shrinking into blank faces routine, and it's never quite been enough to make a difference. You think if you put a few more decibels to slip past the tongue, this is crazy. You think if you put a few more decibels to slip past the tongue tip and bellowed from the chest, they might start to take you a little more seriously. But I caught a glimpse of intersections and stoplights down that road, and it's nothing but sedatives and straitjackets for miles on end. So listen, they want a dead body breathing, practicing radical acceptance of the things that could have changed but didn't. They'll put you up all nice in the spike pit, running water, AC, and poisonous points pricking at your back each morning, and they better not hear any fucking complaints down there. At least you're not dead yet. Temporal consequences. You get a little bit too crusty around the eyes, buried beneath the blankets for weeks. You get a little bit sticks and weeds between your teeth, and you're all loose, weak ankles, and you're all bones popped hip to leg socket. And you have to take ages regaining your strength and stretching stiff ligaments, trying to rebuild a body from scratch. Good job, dude. You fucked it completely to pieces. Good job, dude. You fucked it completely to pieces this week. Always with the walk me back to backwards. Always with the bent forward hips to shoulders and flick of the wrist and all that. And never the sordid tale of this week at the laundromat. And never the she told me and I said and so forth. And I was hoping we could be gold-plated, dusty, and stuck on the mantle forever. But you played it frontwise like usual. It actually says, but you played it frontwise like always. I said it wrong don't worry. Believe me, I think it's stupid too. I built my little brick house right along the riverboat, waving at folks from my window, staying up next to the shore, and sure, it was lovely while it lasted, but wouldn't you know the damn boat kept moving on without me. Oh, I like these. Well, I don't really. This one I'm whatever about. I really like this guy. That's a good guy to look at. I think the little buck tooth adds a lot, and this makes him look like a Paper Mario character experiencing some kind of emotion, some sort of gormless stare. Tried again to make proper sense of purple prose. You liked to pirouette across vowels and adverbs, give the crowd a twinkle in your eye, put to paper, and I always wanted that taste of fine wine on my tongue. I thought if I contorted my words around flower fields and soprano saxophone leading the symphony, I could turn a few heads towards me for once. But I just couldn't stop telling it like it is. I was all too cynical and straightforward talk of dead bodies and mercury. I couldn't turn water miraculous like you could, so effortless and beautiful in that undidactic dialect. So I pushed myself to the brink, poured ink stains to pulp, and daily tried to steer the ship to my satisfaction. Bent my tongue to unknown corners, and by the end of the year I could breathe sonnets, I could dance electric upon that purple spiral. And far too proud for my own good, I took center stage, and these fucking people couldn't understand a word of it. That's one of my favorite poems I've ever written. I really like it. So it goes, so it goes, so it goes. I'm not exactly a trustworthy individual. I mean, sure, I'm honest. I speak my mind, as it were. And when I think something is trash garbage, I'm not afraid to say so. But honest ain't the same thing as righteous. And if you get the two mixed up, you might find yourself trusted devotion to a girl with spiders in her tooth who hates to a girl with spiders in her teeth who hates every movie she sees. And I just keep getting better anyway. I got my damn mouth wired shut. I got braces in more ways than one. And I've learned to paint sound waves with eye motion. I can turn the water in your canteen to pure apple cider, flick of the fucking wrist. And I've demolished oceans, tiny motions of hip to fingertip, dragging the whole city through the desert. And it ain't no alien eyes, kid. It's no psionic arm or computer chip implanted imperfect on the nape of my neck. Each day I come home from school and practice until my body shrivels up and all I had left was influence. It's a weird one. It's about, like, what if you were psychic, I guess? I don't know. Who gives a shit? Pointless to keep ragging on the details, picking away at marble with fingernails, scraping at dips and imperfections. I'm something less than a statue. I'm something more than a corpse. I lick lips, taste aftershave, taste aftershave, taste schoolyard glue, and printer paper. I wasn't supposed to be treated for pests and proper poisons. I'm sorry I'm not quite perfect. I'm sorry I'm not quite perfect. I think that one is okay, but I'm something less than a statue, I'm something more than a corpse is like such a banger that you read it anyway. Sold yourself on dreams of taking the long way to work, making wrong turns along the pavement, and I said it's proper to take yourself serious, and I said it's proper to pick the labels off prescriptions. It's infinite ways you could lose track of traffic and wander the circular block all summer. I take a left on Tremont, I take a right on River Center, I take a straight line 6 miles down Colfax, wander too far out east, find myself lost in the lumber and chain link fences. I can't recommend the carelessness, but ooh, it's the best I can do. That's like a fake rhyme, because ooh is not a word. I didn't mean to declare myself dead on arrival. I was drained body white and blue to pale pink and dragged through my own empty stomach. I didn't have a sense of here's how and why you wrangle yourself into submission, but still followed through, did my due diligence as usual, stuck my whole shit up with tubes and such, tried to make myself into a perfect hospital bed attendee. I wished for fewer scars on my stomach. I wished for cleaner cuts on my fingers. I wished for softer sheets on the mattress. Always something else to try. Well, I was jealous of that swing in your hips every footstep, and I've been studying all your footage, taping myself up electrical, and practicing the same old song and dance, and in my garage, rubber gloves and Erlenmeyer flasks. I can almost match the view on tape. But you're not the same on TV, I guess. Outside at night, I try to bump sharp cheekbones left-right, crumble, collapse to the floor. Well, anyway, I guess I was a bit too tongue-tied last night. I mean, I wanted to trade barbs for adverbs. I wanted to twist adjectives to fit perfect flip kicks, but I kept stumbling over my own sentences. I kept putting for after what when I meant the other way around, and I ran myself aground as my face, mouth, tongue turned to sand and crumpled body to brick because all I was and all I could be was slick sentences, quick jokes, and wry observations, and without them, I'm sorry, without them, I'm nothing at all. Maddie, I read that one to Maddie, and she was like, that's about being Arlo. That's about what it's like to be you. Certainly wouldn't be the first time I set the table forks and knife out of order, and I heard the worst of it later when you spit ugly corrections at me. Not that day, not that evening, but as soon as you needed a knife. And then it has this one that's nice. I like doing these ones where like there's like a poem behind them. It makes you think that there's more to the art than what you're physically able to see. So it goes. You can come at yourself with a clipboard, measure in and out your eyes and ears, arm covered with scars where the needle goes, keeping track of blood and bile week to week, and how much acid is really in your stomach, do you think? And how long until your lungs collapse like hers did? I hear they keep getting weaker every time, and who wants to see a freak show this year? You got people just like me in those 1930s photos. You got gates and cages between me and the folks who came to see my rotten teeth. And well, what would it mean to get over it anyway? You think one day your eyes will crack open. Again, and this time you put hand to breast, and that half-circle ring of scar tissue has nestled its way back into the recesses deep beneath skin. And there's no more sign that you were ever opened up like that. You never had anything amiss in there, and they never took that piece of you away. Well, even if it did, do you think you would just forget about it? No longer wincing at sensitive skin, no longer feeling for the tiniest mass out of place in your armpits. They told you to come back yearly to make sure they killed all the cockroaches, ahead of the curve as it were, middle-aged problems in a body fresh off its second adolescence. Well, you wanted an unblemished womanhood, an easy march to hips from belly fat, and you didn't consider any of the weathered warning signs worth a damn to pay attention to, and you eschewed surgeries and had one anyway, and you should be grateful to keep breathing. That's about how last year I thought I had breast cancer. I didn't, as you can see, because I'm alive. I guess that could happen anyway. Don't worry about it. I'm not the right type for that sort of thing. I mean, Christ, man, I've tried to shape scars to perfect pictures, clean up traces of rug burns and all that, and listen. It's a bit of a twisted calculus. It's a bit of torn to bits between broken, and so on and so on and so on. I was supposed to be pinned up portrait of perfect porcelain, and I know I said perfect before, but this time I really mean it. And I'm not the right girl for the job, I'm afraid, but at least I'm willing to call myself one again. Sorry, not sure that I got at it here. Let's try this. Hundreds of years ago, a daughter's body was buried in the garden, and as the worms and mold took to her and made her one with the soil, reunited with dirt as it were, a bevy of begonias and bitter cresses grew directly from the crevice of her chest and filled the backyard with leaves that spoke her language, back to open air, and after all that, it was hard to forget her like they wanted. I didn't want to get caught up in this nasty business. Oh, I didn't want you to get caught up in this nasty business. I built this town brick by brick, paved roads from here to the next zip code. I picked out picket fences, I poured over post boxes and placed parks between buildings, and still the water doesn't run quite north to south like I wanted. There's pigeons improperly pasted to billboards. I thought I had precisely arranged my mannequins, set up shop with stuffed bodies manning the register, tape boxes and throats providing exacting advice to passerby, but I just couldn't copy that feeling of free fall, that real city serenity, every day another new block to walk down. I wanted my life in predetermined plastic, a wife and kids with no sassback, no stolen vowels, emoting exactly the way I intended. I come home to unwound tape and dead batteries, tinker with mouthpiece to hear my own platitudes. It's like a little sci-fi story. I like doing those. This one I don't think came out very good. What do you think? I just feel like the composition is not very good, but I kind of like the faces. The shapes they didn't get there. Poured myself out from the pitcher, covered your body with pictures of crooked smiles, teeth jutting this way and that, and practiced my liquid act, flowing over worried shoulders, pooling beneath your head on the bedspread. And on and on and on and on and on and on and on. 3 weeks ago, I was smothered in the sand, waving hands cracked through crust at the folks passing by, trying to get them to pay attention to my predicament. But I had mouthfuls of grains and rocks between my teeth, and tongue contorting my words to a slurry of nonsense. And further I sank through the drink, a silent victim asleep in the sand. There's a lot of poems that use the phrase between my teeth in here. Trust me, I couldn't be happier to see you, but I worry regardless of circumstance. A slurry of words overperforming certainty, and pursing my lips I lie through my teeth, downplaying the shaking hands I barely manage to please you. About being nervous, I guess, which I've never been in my life. Let's fall in love again, tie ourselves down to each other with twine and stick our mouths full of dirty fingers, and oh, let's go one more time with the taste of daffodils and dip our monster bodies in the river again. This time I'll be clean and predictable, and when I say all those nice things about you compared favorably to every other girl in the world, I swear this time I really mean it. And you can even keep your eyesight off my split tongue tip and stare directly at my eyes, and I'll tell you they're two colors, and you'll say you know, and you'll say you know that because I told you before, and we could drive out to Chicago like we said we would last time, and study up for graduate degrees we don't need, and I'll say I love you and mean it, and I'll say I love you and mean it. That's kind of sad when I read that. I tried to swallow glass last week, and don't worry, this time it's a metaphor. I swapped spit with wine glasses, had a whole vase teasing at the back of my throat. Thought maybe I could cling to a smile a little longer and guarantee I'd be worse off when I came up for air. Now you get to try to pick through shattered piles and piece together a semblance of what I might have meant by it. It's about writing poems, I think. Well, what's it to you anyway? You always treated me like a porcelain doll for dress-up, too hollow, empty-headed delicate to do it myself. And you picked out matching skirts for us, designed with dandelions, and tried to squeeze me into smaller and smaller silhouettes. I was too young to know the difference. Thought every growing girl had hobbit feet and teeth like me. Thought I'd get my own chance at applying lipstick. And really, how hard could it be anyway? But you wanted me wrapped around your finger forever and groveling daily to be deigned with faint praise, and done up just the way you wanted me. You can choose to make yourself smaller, I guess. I mean, if you're so concerned about numbers on scales, why not try cutting your own legs off? You can fit your body in a suitcase. You could ship yourself back to your mother. Corpse returned to the dirt. You'll have your height and weight read by the priest at your funeral. And it's all oohs and ahs over what you've accomplished. Soon you'll be diluted to dirt. Soon you'll finally weigh nothing. Sorry. I just can't take it. I tried to play the part, shoot at tin cans with airsoft guns, take a licking, keep on spinning. I tried to crack jokes about rape beneath the interstates. I tried to drink beer. I tried to keep my voice down. I tried to wear polo shirts, take my damn hazing, and never put soap to my body for pleasure, and never swing through empty dance floors for certain. And I could have it grown out by next week, but caught flack on Thursday. And I put on the denim jacket and get called rhinestone cowboy. And I put on the blue bead necklace and get called method actor. And if it's all the same to you, I'll be taking the boots back and getting blackout tonight, and I'll be damned if I ever come back here. So, like, I've been thinking about doing this for months. And I've honestly been really worried about the fire getting out of control. And then I realized, like, oh, duh, waste paper basket made of metal. And also, and I brought a water bottle with me, of course. I've been thinking a lot about, like, how am I gonna feel? How is it gonna feel when I do this? And right now I don't feel very much about it. It's true what I wrote. Like so part of the process of this was like wanting to separate my writing process from the idea of like there being like an end product, there being like an archive, which I kind of fucked up by reading it in this video, right? But like it's more about, you know, like having an understanding that like these things are impermanent, you know. Like every single one of my books will be dust one day eventually. They'll all be ash. You know, at some point in, you know, maybe when I'm alive, maybe when I'm dead, that everything I've ever written will, you know, be destroyed. It will no longer be preserved. And I also had been thinking about, like, you know, when if I do this all the time, if I always have like a notebook that I'm actively writing in, eventually I'm going to lose one, you know, like eventually I'm going to like leave one on the bus, you know, forget it at some point. This is actually, it's not burning quite as easily as I thought it would. Like it's happening, but it's a bit of a process. I thought maybe the fact that there's like acrylic paint on it might make it a little hard, or make the fumes kind of toxic, which is why we're outside. That's awesome. I was really hoping it would go up a little bit more dramatically, but it really hasn't. It's just kind of casually smoking away. It's gonna be really funny if I injure myself doing this. What a thing to do for art. All right, it's kind of quietly smoldering there. Ooh, now it's going up. There it goes. Here, let's yeah, see if you can get a look at that. Yeah. All right, I gotta keep the water bottle ready. Get this smoke out of my face. Cheers, bro. Oh yeah, now it's really going up. It's a good thing that I happen to own a metal waste basket, because if I didn't, I don't know how I would have done this. Ooh, yeah, buddy. If somebody, I'm like sitting on the roof of my apartment building right now. If somebody comes around the corner right now, I'm gonna be so embarrassed. Oh my god. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. I've really been thinking because I came up with this idea like 2 months ago, and I had really been thinking like, man, like, where am I gonna go to do this? And I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like do a poetry reading down by the river or something. Then I was like, I can't start a fire in anywhere where there's like dry brush or anything, because that would risk a lot of bad things happening to me, or happening to my city that I love so much and live in. And then I was like, okay, I need to go to like a parking garage or the roof of the apartment or something. And it happened to be a nice day today. When I started recording, it was overcast, and since then the sun has come out, and I really don't need this jacket anymore. But I didn't want to, interrupt the performance, as if I didn't to begin with. uh, Folks, it's sad. It's sad to see her go. I feel a little bit about it, but it's like the thing about these books is that like you do develop like a you develop an emotional attachment to them just from the fact that like you carry them around with you all the time, and they slowly become more imbued with like your thoughts and feelings and your art, and like one of the things that I really like about having physical notebooks is like it's a thing to look at that's not like phone. My phone actually just stopped recording because it shut itself down because it was overheating from sitting in the sun, and I kept talking for several minutes before I noticed. And right now it's telling me that the frame rate is going to be reduced because my phone is still too hot. Yeah, but there's the there's the remains of 2 weeks of work. On to the next one. Keep writing. And then the wind picked up, so I had to dump the water on it. So now it's kind of gross.